welcome to Window Genie. My name is Anthony and I'm going to be showing you how to make some money in this business. First things first, we're going to cover what I have on my waist here. This is my tool belt. I am left-handed, so my mop and my squeegee and my bucket on a belt, or bob, is on my left side. Next to that, you will see I have a pouch here with what I like to call my junk towel. This is the towel I'm knocking cobwebs off. This is the towel I'm wiping off the bottom frame and sill when I'm done. Things like that. On the other side, away from my wet mop, you'll see I have another pouch with what I like to call my finishing towel, my detail towel. This is where I'm going to get those little smudges and go around the edge of the window to make sure nothing is bleeding out of the frames. I have another pouch on my back. I like to carry extra towels in here. Saves me a walk or two to the truck when I'm on larger jobs. We'll go over this. This is my strip washer. This is an 18-inch sized strip washer. I like to use the abrasive sleeves. Makes scrubbing the window a lot easier. And right now, just to show you kind of a more basic tool here, I'm using just old-fashioned, regular, traditional squeegee. This is a 16-inch channel, and this model has a nice rubber grip on it. Great for winter. First thing I want to do is go over the window cleaning with you. I'm going to do it once just so you can see from start to finish the process. Then I'm going to slow it down, I'm going to break it down and go over a couple troubleshooting tips. Some common problems I've seen in the past training other individuals, and it's kind of giving me a few ideas to help your training go a little smoother. Now first things first, you'll see that I am obviously wetting my mop with the solution. Now, especially on the inside, we want to watch our drips. So I like to wring this thing out, and I usually give it just a little squeeze on either end, and that's pretty much it. Now, you'll notice that the longer I hold this, the more it's starting to drip. Obviously, we want to make sure we're getting it into our bucket on a belt. One common problem I have had or seen, at least with some of these bucket on a belts, mops, what people will end up doing is as they're in a hurry to get from their bucket to their bucket on a belt, they kind of scrape the side of it there, and as you can see, water goes all over the place. Now you've got some water on the bottom of that. You're probably making a trail throughout the house as you go. Also, it's not very comfortable to walk around with a wet leg all day. So I'm going to show you a real simple way to minimize that. Might even be able to avoid it altogether. Now, if I were to pick this thing up, because gravity's been taking all the water from here down here, very good chance, my mop's not very wet here, let me rectify that. Now, I pull this thing out, eventually, as you see, it's going to start dripping. Easiest way to avoid that, I pull it up to where it's almost out, to where the edge of the mop is resting on this little back plate, give it a little squeeze, and then flip it over. Now I'm ready to go to the window. That is a window squeegee. The next step would be to remove all water from the bottom window. Now I'm going to get my finishing towel, my detail towel, and I'm going to go along the edges. That, from start to finish, is a clean window. We're going to get into some exceptions on construction cleans, heavy dirt windows, where we need to scrub with some extra products or solutions. Right now, we want to stick to the basics. So, how did I get from here to there without leaving smudges and streaks all over the place? Well, that's where the practice is going to come in. The squeegee can be tricky to learn at first. I like to consider it a finesse tool, not a force tool. To show you what I mean, I can pretty much use very minimal pressure and still squeegee this window. It's not about how hard I push on it. This isn't a remote control. If the button's not working, the answer isn't to push it harder. We're going to have to figure out a couple of things. Our angle is very important. What that basically means is if my squeegee is on the window, I want to be within, I would say, 45 degree. I'm trying to see if I can get this visualized for you. But basically, if I have my squeegee too flat and the handle is too low, the water is just going to pass right between that seal. The opposite end of that is if I have it way too large of an angle, now you're just resting on the top of the blade, and that's not going to do a good job either. The goal is to have the edge of the blade contacting the glass at all times. The next thing is going to be working on our turns. Now, in order to do this properly, think of it like a semi. It does not turn like a race car, it's going to turn like a semi, which means we need more space to turn. So you'll notice right away as I start this window, first things first, I like to cut in like so. That gives me less water to detail off later. Now, once I'm at this point, and I start going towards that edge, you'll notice that I'm already starting to make that turn. So by the time I get to this corner, I've already turned to where I need to be. Now I can keep this lead edge trailing along the window there. I like to come back down, circle up like so, then finish the motion. Now, I'm going to show you a couple good rules of thumb that will help you get into a good spot. Your muscle memory will kick in with practice. But I want to kind of make a point to you. The most common problem, especially in the beginning, is not giving yourself enough time to turn. So let's say I come here, and oops, now I got to turn. Well, what's happening? This part of the rubber is wanting to flip back because you're pushing it along the window. That's why it's very important to make sure you have that turn taken care of before you get there. Another good rule of thumb that I've noticed that will help you visualize in the beginning how to get there, notice that on every turn, I'm just about at a 45-degree angle from that corner there. Now that's how you know you've turned enough to where you can move into the next pass smoothly. Just a pretty simple way to visualize it. Another thing I would like to point out when we are squeegeeing is this edge that is leading into the frames. That's the edge I want to move. I would prefer if this one didn't move at all. My point there is, I'll kind of show you here. I'm going to trap this right here with my finger. Now I'm going to make my turn. No problems. However, let's say I was being a little less careful with it, and as I'm turning, I'm pushing that up too. Well, that's not very pretty. We want the water to be pushed off by this blade even when we're turning. Simple way to do that is to make sure that your pressure is even in the center of the handle. I don't want to have this thing kind of twisted in my hand as I go because I will be lifting up on one side of the channel. Likewise, we want to make sure that angle is good. Now here's something to consider. While I'm angling right here, the natural grip of my hand here is perfect for the squeegee. But as I start going down, you notice that that angle starts to get wider. You're going to have to move with it. Sorry, this is a physical job. Now, those are the main two issues I see with squeegeeing. Not enough room to maneuver, and we're moving the whole squeegee. We're visualizing it turning here when that's not where we want it to turn. We want this to be our focal point, not here. So whatever side you're working towards that window, we really want to make sure we're not pushing with the other side. Which is why instead of me just coming to the edge and turning, you're seeing me kind of swoop into the whole next pass, turning and pulling at the same time. Now we've got that done, let me clean up my water mess all over this window. And we're going to talk about toweling. Just a couple quick pointers regarding toweling. Now, the towels are mainly, the goal anyway, is that we're just toweling these edges. But obviously if you have a spot in the middle of the window, that's what these are for. You'll notice how I kind of hold my towel. Sometimes I'll use two hands, sometimes I just let it dangle. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, notice that my towel isn't just bunched up, and I'm not kind of doing one of these things with it. The reason I'm not doing that, pretty simple to illustrate. If I'm using this part of my towel, now that's the only part of my towel that's wet. But if my goal is to use that part of the towel and I'm doing one of these things, well, now the whole towel is wet all over the place. This is really just an efficiency thing. This is going to make sure that I'm not using a ton of towels, which means more laundry, which means more time back and forth to the vehicle, all that fun stuff. Another really simple thing to do, by the time this towel, and it will get dirty, especially when you're doing exterior work, you'll be wiping off sills with this, it will be muddy and kind of mucky. By the time this towel is ready to go into the dirty bin, your detail towel, which you've been using, probably wet enough where it's time to grab a new one. So now this towel becomes my new junk towel. And I grab another one from my trusty pouch, and I'm good to go. I hang my dirty towels, wet towels, on the edge of my bucket, like so. This avoids constant trips back and forth, makes you more efficient, which in turn makes you more money. That's really the basics of the window cleaning. I can't wait to get into a truck with you and go out and do some practice in the real world. Look forward to working with you.